watching. This is Conservatively Shannon. Please like, share, and subscribe. And leave a comment if you are so inspired to do so. I want to highlight this story. It's been all over different outlets about the Taliban banning women's beauty salons in Afghanistan. And the reason why I'm highlighting this story in this video is because a lot of Americans complain about how America is. This is just an example of what it's like in other countries. Something that you take for granted, like being able to go get your hair and nails done, is you're not able to do that anymore in Afghanistan by August. So the Taliban has decided to ban women from having beauty salons. And one of the things about our country is it may not be perfect, but it is ours. And we have made such strides in rights in this country, and we should be proud of ourselves because nowhere is perfect. But if you have the right in your country to uh, push against political policies, social norms, and change things, that's wonderful. This country is younger than a lot of other nations, and we've managed to end slavery. We've managed to have rights for women. We've managed to have rights in education, voting rights. Other countries aren't like that. There are a lot of other countries that are just not uh, as free. And for those people who want to live a certain way, you don't have to stay in America. You could find a country that governs the way you think a government should govern and go there. But at the same time, that's the beauty of America. If you don't like what is happening in America, you have the right to organize with others and try to change things. And some of these other places, you could get killed if you criticize the government. And we want to make sure we stay away from those slippery slopes here in America where parents are protesting at school board meetings or just speaking up about not wanting their children to be indoctrinated with certain ideology. And all of a sudden, they're getting a knock at their door from the feds, or they're being labeled as terrorists, or they're losing their job just because they're speaking up against something that they like or dislike. So anyway, this is from NPR. The Taliban are banning women's beauty salons in Afghanistan. This is from July 11th, 2023. It was heard on the morning edition, and it's by Michael, is it Michael or Michelle Martin Dia Hadid. Since returning to power nearly 2 years ago, the Taliban have resumed pushing women and girls out of public life. The Taliban now say they're shutting down women's beauty salons. I mean, to me, that is so petty that they want to shut down women's beauty salons. How is it that you don't want women to go get their hair and nails done? It's just ridiculous. And they don't want women to be entrepreneurs doing the hair and nails and things like that. A lot of these men in these countries, they want women to be docile and subservient and depending on them. And when women depend on men for everything and they don't have any independence, that's where some men, a lot of men, begin to abuse women because they somehow think that because you're depending on them for your survival, they can do whatever they want to you. And you see how it is in these countries where these men want to be the source of survival for women, and they feel that they could do whatever they want to women. They could beat you, they could rape you, they could have multiple wives, all of this because they have gutted your ability to go out in society to earn a living for yourself and to be able to be independent and take care of yourself. Anyway, Michelle Martin hosts, since returning to power nearly 2 years ago, the Taliban have been pushing women and girls out of public life again. They're not allowed to study beyond 6th grade, so they want to make sure they don't get education beyond the basic. They're banned from most jobs. They don't want you to earn an income. They can't even visit parks. Wow. Now, the Taliban say they're shutting down women's beauty salons. To tell us more, NPR's Dia Hadid is on the line. She covers Afghanistan. And Dia says, let's get down to the meat of the story. The Taliban have gradually been enforcing rules that have largely confined women and girls to their homes. Wow. So I'm sure that this is so miserable. But some of the luckiest women were running businesses that cater to other women. But they received a blow last week when the Taliban officials confirmed rumors that they revoked the licenses of 3,000 beauty salons in Kabul. The thing is, a ban on salons can sound frivolous, but this is one of the few female-dominated industries in Afghanistan, and they have reliable businesses because they do extravagant makeovers for weddings, and it was also one of the few places where Afghan women could still congregate outside their homes. So this is from VAO.
Women's activists and watchdogs say that the Taliban's new ban on their businesses will push them further into poverty and isolation. The recent decree mandates that beauty salons shut down in a month, adding to the string of restrictions faced by Afghan women. The Taliban also prohibit women from accessing secondary education, employment, and public spaces. Kabul salon owner Banu Amiri, who did not want to use her real name, fears her family's livelihood will suffer if the ban is implemented.
If I lose my source of income from the beauty salon, I will not be able to pay for my children's education, and my children will remain uneducated. When I cannot work, I will not be able to pay the rent of the house.
There are more than 12,000 women's beauty salons in Afghanistan, and more than 3,000 of them are in Kabul, according to the Afghanistan's Chamber of Commerce and Investment. The ban calls into question the Taliban's promise to allow women to participate in the private sector.
The only way for women to earn money was working in the private sector. With the closing of beauty salons, many women who were the breadwinners of their families lose their job and income, and their lives will become harder and darker.
Heather Barr, Associate Director of Women's Rights Division at Human Rights Watch, worries the ban will result in a significant loss for women in Afghanistan.
This is not about whether you can go and get your hair and nails done. Beauty salons are a women-only space that can offer community and support to women in a situation where they've already lost many other sources of support, including the entire system to deal with domestic violence. So this is actually a devastating loss for women in general.
Banu Amiri and other women like her want the Taliban to reconsider their decision.
Our demand is that they regulate beauty salons but not close them completely. They should not take away our livelihood from us.
The UN has called on the Taliban to withdraw the ban, which it says will impact negatively on the economy and contradicts stated support for women entrepreneurs.
So, as you can see, Americans need to really understand how quickly we've been able to advance as far as political and social issues in our country. Because in other countries, they've been dealing with this for thousands of years, and the United States is not thousands of years old. The only reason that women were able to get as far as they did was because of the U.S. occupation of Afghanistan. Now that the United States isn't there anymore and they're not occupying them anymore, they're just going to revert back to the customs, the traditions that they had in the past. And so I hope these women will continue, and men who support women will continue to speak up, and that the people in Afghanistan will, uh, you know, have some sort of heart to allow these women to continue with their salons and entrepreneurship and things like that. I understand that they govern based on their religiosity, but I think that some things are misinterpreted or taken overboard with what they're trying to do, and it's all about control. They want to control women to make sure that they are dependent on them and putting up with all kinds of abuse, because that's what happens when a woman is solely dependent on a man for her income. A lot of people want to bash Black women for being independent and stuff like that. They want to call them masculine traits. It's not that Black women have masculine traits. When is being strong? When is being a provider? When is being someone who can take care of a household a masculine trait? A lot of these women out here who have men taking care of them, if that guy were to get sick, these women wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know how to pay the bills. They would, and you see how some of these men, when they lose their high paying jobs, they go and kill everyone in the house and kill themselves because they don't think that their family is going to be able to make it or survive. Black women know that you have to be strong out here in this world. And I think that Black women need to realize and be an example to a lot of other women. It's not that you are masculine because you're strong and you're a survivor and you know how to survive. The men out here have become effeminate. The men out here, they expect you to be weaker than them because they are weak. Your strength looks like masculinity. And so the men who are weak, they want a weaker woman. Instead, still continue, be a strong woman and expect a man to rise above your strength. Because a lot of these men out here, they're looking for women to treat them as if they're some sort of god or a king or something like that. The bottom line is you're not a god. You're not. If you want to be worshiped, then you contend with the real God because he has a problem with that. Women were not put here to serve men. Now, we can work together and be partners all we want, but women were not put here to serve men and bow down to men and all of this other stuff. And I'm not saying that just because a woman cooks for her man, massages her man's back, or do things for him, there's something wrong with that. You should if he's your man, you should be loving on him. You should respect him. You should be loving on him. You should want to do special things for him. You should, that's just going to naturally come out of you if you're in love with this man. You're going to want to, make him happy. But that doesn't mean you have to be a weak woman because you want to make your man happy. And you have some of these men out here who are weak and they think that they need to beat you or put you down or control you and things like that to make themselves feel big, to make themselves feel strong. And that's not the definition of a strong man, that you can try to dominate, beat, or control your women and your children. And a lot of people have a problem with Black women is because we fight against that male dominance. Be dominant in the area that you're supposed to be dominant, but don't be dominant over stupid little things. And that's what a lot of men nowadays, they're weak. And so when you stand next to a woman who is a giant and who she is and her strength, you think that she's masculine. Black women, you are not weak. Women out there of all races that's strong, you are not masculine. The men that are criticizing you and putting you down, they are the ones that is weak. They are the ones that has a problem. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Peace. Wonders of a Black woman.